Well, as mentioned earlier, Goldfields came out with the results today. The miner's fourth quarter adjusted earnings per share jumped 26% to 368 cents. Joining me in studio to get into the numbers is Goldfields CEO Holland. A very good afternoon to you, Nick. You said the US dollar exchange rate, that did seem to impact quite a lot to these results.
That's one issue. We saw that the rand weakened rather by about a rand to just over 8 compared to 7 in the previous quarter. But it's not only that. It's also very, very good cost control over the year, not just over the quarter, which enable us to improve our earnings. So it's a combination of the rand weakness, which flowed through into the rand realized gold price, but also the operational teams across the world, and in particularly South Africa, done a great job in controlling their costs. And that allowed the gold price to flow through to the bottom line and enabled these increase in earnings to be realized.
One of the things when you talk about operation, the concern with South African mines particularly is that safety issue. And in the reporting period, there was one fatality, but you said perhaps what is to be noted is that in 2 million shafts, they were fatality free. I'm getting tongue-tied. Fatality free. How have you been able to work around those safety issues and also make sure that your operations are much safer for the miners?
Well, safety is the #1 value in the company, and it's the most important part of my job, safety and health of our people. And we've had a range of initiatives that we've put in place, starting with visible felt leadership. I get out there, I go and talk to the employees, I go underground once a month, visit the operations. But it's compliance to standards, it's engineering out the risks. But the most important thing is behavioral-based training. And it's getting what we call the hearts and minds right. And if we can get the hearts and minds focused on the fact that safety is the most important thing, then I think we can make the next quantum change. We've made a great improvement over 3 years. We've halved all of our stats over the last 3 years, when in fact, years prior to that, we had only marginal improvements. So we have made a quantum change over 3 years. I'm looking for us to make another quantum change over this year and into 2013.
I want to talk a little bit about your new projects and exploration projects that are happening. You do have something that's coming up in the Philippines. You've got exploration projects you've got feasibility studies in South America. Where are you seeing and probably pinning your future growth on it? Which regions do you see opportunities?
We like South America for 2 reasons. One is we're there already in the Andes of Peru, but we have projects at various stages of development in Chile and in Argentina, and also in Peru itself. So those are opportunities we're pursuing. We like the environment, we understand the culture, we've got a super team on the ground. We like that too. Africa and West Africa in particular, we have a very strong team. We're the largest producers of gold in Ghana and have been active in Ghana for the last 20 years. And so we're looking around that area, Mali in particular. And then in the Philippines too, we've come across a copper gold porphyry deposit at depth, so it'll be an underground operation. We're drilling that at the moment. We think that we're going to have somewhere close to 50 million ounces in that particular opportunity. And just to put that into perspective, the total gold reserves of Goldfields are about 75 million ounces. So we have an opportunity here to get our foot on a sizable chunk of 50 million ounces. You know, that would be certainly very exciting for us if we could do that. And it's a country that's also changing. Philippines is a much better country today than what it was some years ago. I visited the country a number of times. It's a country that is keen to have international players like ourselves in. So I think our timing is opportune. And of course, the prices for gold and copper have appreciated quite substantially over the last couple of years. So from a metal deck perspective, it's also the right opportunity for us.
Now, one of the things that has been coming out next week, we're going to be hearing the budget speech, and I'm sure you'll be quite keen to hear what the minister has to say. What are you going to be watching out for?
Well, obviously, one wants to look at whether there's going to be additional imposts on the industry. But I think we're not going to see too much of that at this particular point in time, because we've heard already there's a recommendation on the committee that was appointed by government to look at nationalisation of the industry. Not to nationalise, that's their recommendation, but instead to look at a new fiscal package on the mining industry. And I think it's going to be very important that industry is given an opportunity to engage with government to work out a solution that is win-win for the industry. And we've been very successful in doing this in other countries. We did this in Peru very recently, when everyone thought it was going to be a dire outcome. It wasn't. We came up with a very modest increase across the board, and I think the government is going to get an extra $1 billion a year into their coffers, and at the same time the industry is not being wiped out. So I think that's a superb model for us to follow, and I do hope that sanity will prevail, because we do need foreign investment in this country, and I need it too. And I'm very keen for us to work out a solution that also addresses poverty, alleviation of some of the income gaps. Of course, if we're going to be sustainable in this country, we have to do that. Let's work out how we can do it together and get a win-win solution.
So some of the comments that have come out from some analysts and even some miners saying that we could see this and seeing it as quite a negative thing. Do you think that perhaps, like you're saying, it sounds as though there's no reason for panic right now?
Well, certainly the Minister has come out at the Indaba and said, look, we note the report, but we don't see ourselves supporting massive increases in taxes. I think it's a good comment to make, and I think certainly it can quell any immediate concerns. But I think it's important that we get something that is competitive when looked at on the world stage, so that we can continue to attract the very important foreign investment into this country. I'm optimistic as a South African that we can get there.
What's your focus going to be for your company for 2012?
Safety is number one. We want to improve the safety in our company across the board. We want to improve the health of our employees. You know, our employees are our business. Now, we wouldn't be anything without our employees. It's wonderful to have great infrastructure. It's wonderful to have fantastic quantities of gold in the ground. But if we don't have the right people doing the right things and doing it in a safe way, we're not going to deliver that potential. So developing our people is going to be number one. Number two is going to be to continue to sustain our operations and to continue to drive that growth pipeline and get Goldfields in a position where it really is going to be the global leader in sustainable gold mining.
I want to talk a little bit about the gold price. We have seen a bit of a bull run there, and there are some analysts who are saying we could see a technical recession, a technical correction. What is wrong with my tongue today? A technical correction. You don't hedge your gold, though. What do you think is going to happen in that space? Should we go into that period where that correction happens?
Well, I never predict the gold price, and maybe I'm one of the few gold executives who don't, but I never forecast the gold price because I think it's just impossible. But what I would say to you is there's a lot of good signals to certainly support the gold price in a range somewhere around where it is. And if you look at the gold demand stats that came out yesterday from the World Gold Council, it'll show you that one of the world's largest economies, it probably will be the world's largest economy in the future, China, is buying a lot of gold. And I think that's a very positive sign. You know, the two countries that are buying gold are China and India. And now I realize why some people say, you know, 2012 is going to be the year of the dragon and the year of the tiger. That'll be good for gold, because both of those countries, if they do grow significantly, will put some of that back into gold, I have no doubt. They have a strong affinity towards gold, and that'll certainly bolster the gold price. But no prediction. Let's see where we end up.
Thank you so much, Nick. That was Nick Holland. He's CEO of Goldfields.